What's up, everybody? I'm going to give it a little bit of time for people can get on. Uh, just give it a second. I know it takes a minute for people to get on. Man, I don't understand what's going on here. It looks like shadowy to me right here. Takes a minute for people to see it, so hopefully I can get some people on. I know it's late, so I don't know if everybody's going to be on at one time. Give it a second, guys. I'm letting it build up. So I can get people on here at one time, because usually when you start, the starting point tells everybody what you're talking about. Give me a second. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing good during this the pandemic. Give me a second, guys. I'm letting it build a little bit. All right, guys. I see some of y'all on already, so I'm going to go ahead and lead into it. Scripture says that God has given you a purpose and a hope. As he said, for good and not evil, for a purpose and a hope. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Recently, when I was talking to other people, like I used to think that I could, because of my past or because of things that happened to me, it was impossible for me to become something, and the reason why is they set a standard for us. And I didn't really start to realize this until recently. But if you think about it, like just take your life, for example. So you have your parents and you're born, and the first thing that happens, what's up, Joe? What's up, Robert? And what happens is, like, from the day you're born, it's almost like they say that your social security is a number. You actually become a number in the world, basically, because the Bible says that the God of this world is Satan, and Satan doesn't want you to have a purpose. He doesn't want you to have God's purpose. He wants you to have his purpose. And sometime, without knowing, our countries, our government, our families, they line up with the purpose that is almost like predestined for us. And it's not predestined for us because we wanted it. It's predestined for us because other people gave it to us. So just take yourself, for instance, when you're 5 years old, you're born, and then about 2 or 3 years old, you start to walk. And then from starting to walk, at about 3 or 4, your parents start to tell you a plan that they have for your life. And this plan wasn't even their plan. It was somebody else's plan. And that plan was for you to go from walking to, at 5 years old, going to school. And when you get into school, your purpose in school, in elementary school, is to go from 5 years old to the end of your 5th grade year. And then the next step of your life is written for you too. It's like, okay, you go from there, and then you go to junior high. And from junior high, you're learning the same thing. You're learning English, you're learning math, you're learning all this stuff. But one thing that you're not learning is your purpose. One thing that you're not learning is about money. It doesn't make any sense for me to have a plan that doesn't have purpose. And if you start to think about it, the things that they tell you that are purpose aren't really your purpose. So it's not the things that you predestined for your life. They're not the things that you pre-planned. But everybody from generation to generation has been told the same plan. And see, that's the scary thing. People don't realize that the plan that they have for you is a plan of bondage. And God's plan is bigger than that. God's plan is like a plan to take you to another place. God said, I know the plans that I have for you, plans for good and not evil, and for purpose. But think about your life from that time. So your life is written from the time you're 5. You go to school, and from 5 to junior high, you're going to go to school again, from junior high to high school. And what do they tell you? The next step after high school is college. And then from college, you're supposed to, just think about this. From the time you're 5 to the time you graduate high school, you haven't learned how to make money. You haven't had God's purpose put in front of you, unless you have parents that are made, to follow Jesus, or ones that have God in their mind, So what happens is your purpose that you think you have is the purpose that was laid out by somebody else. So they always tell you your whole goal in life is to go to school, graduate, go to school again, get a job from the great college that you went to, make a certain amount of money, and then after that, you're going to retire and get a pension. But just imagine this. So say you're an engineer, right? So somebody told you to be an engineer most of the time. It's not like, hey, I woke up one day and my purpose was to be an engineer. Now, if you're an engineer and you love it, that's you, all right? Do you. But most of us have gifts and talents that we don't even use. Like right now, there's probably someone on here that's an artist, but you're working as an engineer. Or you're a singer and you're a restaurant manager. That's not your purpose. God gifted you with a purpose, an actual inner thing that you're gifted to do that should make way for you. The Bible says that your gift will make way for you. That means that it will set you up for free time. It will set you up for your family. It will set you up for provision. It will set you up for finances. But the plan that we've seen is the plan that's dictated to basically make you sheep. It like herds you into this one direction, because which one of us hasn't went to school? Every single one of us has went to junior high, high school, and then if you're lucky, and well, they tell you it's lucky, you go to college and then you get a degree. But who needs to go to college? I mean, I'm probably going to get haters on here right now because I'm saying something that most parents wouldn't say. But if my kid was gifted as an artist, why would he need English, math, and all that after he's already went through junior high, high school, and now college? Why would he need to go to college and get English and math? You know, I don't understand that, because he's an artist. He has a gift. So, like, if you think about people that made it, like Steve Jobs, he didn't finish college. Like, he went to college, but his gift made way for him. His gift was computers and technology, and he went from the place of what the world said he was supposed to do to the place internally God gifted him to do. And then if you think about, like, Michael Jordan, like, he was told, like, you know, you didn't even make the sophomore team. And if he would have went off of the plan, he would have just went to school, got out of school, went to college, never pursued his gift, and never become the Michael Jordan that we all know. And some of you right now, you're supposed to be an artist. You're supposed to be doing your own art, your own designs, your own gift. But the world has boxed you in. I was sitting at my job one day, and I was thinking to myself, like, I come to this job every day, and I have to be there at a certain time. And at that time, they say from 9 to 9 or 11 to 9, you have to be here. And the way that this cubicle works is, like, I go into the cubicle, and then from that time on, I'm there to do the world's plan. The plan is use something that I have, but not the gift to make me blessed, or not to make, you know, don't get me wrong, a check is a paycheck, right? But when you wake up every day, do you enjoy doing what you're doing? If not, you're not working your gift. If not, you're doing what the world told you to do. So some people might be satisfied making $360,000 a year and never seeing their family. And one day when they're 30, they're going to wake up and their kid's going to come in and they're going to say, "Hey, Dad." And there won't be a hug. There won't be a kiss. There won't be an "I love you," because that kid hasn't seen it. All they seen was the check. All they saw was the gifts and stuff that Dad bought for him. But because he was working the world's plan and he wasn't working his gift, then that's how this game ends most of the time. Like right now, let me show you, let me just walk this out. This is a pretty scary scenario if you think about it. So here you are, you go to your job each and every day, a job that you went to because the world told you, go to a job, make a paycheck, and then after you make the paycheck, you're going to work at that job for 20 years, and they might even fire you after 20 years. We know people got laid off right now that have been working forever at the same company, and instantly their life was changed. Instantly, they lost their income. Instantly, they couldn't pay their mortgage. Instantly, they couldn't pay their house. But God's purpose is bigger than that. God's purpose is not man's purpose. See, the way that this scenario works is elementary, junior high, high school, college. Get the job that they tell you is success. But is success really being away from your family? Is success really like doing something that you love? I prefer to do something that I love, because if you love something, it makes way for your family. If you love something, it makes way for your provision. Like when you're gifted to do something and you go to something that you actually love to do, it's not a job anymore. It's something you enjoy. It's something that blesses you. It's something that makes you happy. So you take the regular job, you take the plan that the enemy laid out through the world plan, the world system, and it's everybody in every country, in every world. And see, the way that it works out is you go to high school, you graduate, you get that degree, you go to the job that you got the degree for, and some of you won't even get that job for the degree. Some of you won't even get paid. Like there's people out there making $60,000 that didn't go to college. There's people like car salesmen that make like $100,000 and never graduated one day of college, and they're making more than you. But why did you think that was the plan? Because they were telling you that was the plan. They told you to go to college. They told you to get this job, and that job could pay $50, $100, $350. It could pay thousands of dollars. But then most people, when they are 50 or 60 years old, they're going to get a pension. And that pension is only going to pay part of what they made before. And then once the pension is gone, guess what? Then you're on Social Security. So you're dependent on the government. So they take you from the cradle to the grave. But if you chase your gift, if you pursue your gift, then you're not in bondage to the system. You're not in bondage to their plan and their purpose. And why do they want you that way? Whose plan is that really? Like, if you think about that, if I can take you and put you in a cubicle, like say I go to the job and I'm there every day. Say it's a regular job, 9 to 6, and I'm there every single day. From 9 to 6, if I go there, I'm going to make some money. It's going to stretch to the next week. And I'm going to make the money, and it's going to stretch to the next week. And I'm inside this cubicle. I'm not seeing my family. I'm not seeing my God. I'm not seeing nothing but whatever's right in front of me. Was I happy? Did it bring joy to my life? To me, that just seems strange, because I recall another place that you go when you're a kid. And when you walk in this place, you're very excited about being there. And it's a zoo. So you walk up to this one cage, and you see this powerful lion, right? Here he is, the lion, the king of the jungle. And you know he's powerful. You know if he got right out of there, he could eat you right now. But he's inside a cubicle. He's walking around this thing for you, for people to see you. And then how does he get paid? No different than us. They bring him the food, they feed him. The next day it's the same cycle, same scenario, over and over and over. Do you think that lion is happy in the zoo? Do you think he's overjoyed to be in that scenario? Or do you think he'd be more happy being in his own land, one or his own area? Ask yourself that. Are you happy doing what you're doing? Are you working the gift that God gave you? Because if you're not, you're never going to be happy. You're going to be empty. You're going to miss out on time with your children. You're going to miss out on your dreams and the gifts that God gave you. I've seen people that they were told that they were nothing. They were told they were a nobody. Like, if anybody knows Les Brown, he's one of the biggest motivational speakers in the world, right? But God had a purpose for his life. But one teacher tried to snub it. One teacher tried to tell him that he was like mentally retarded, right? So he goes up one time to write something. Well, the teacher in another class asked him like, hey, Les, can you come on up to the board and answer this question? He goes, no, sir, I cannot. And he goes, why can't you? And he goes, because I just can't. And he goes, Les, come to the front and answer the question. He goes, sir, I cannot do it. And he's like, why? And he goes, because I'm mentally challenged and mentally retarded. That teacher knew that he had purpose. That teacher saw something in him that he didn't see in himself. And because someone had told him what he couldn't be, he just agreed with it. He just laid down and accepted it. But that teacher didn't allow that to happen. That teacher reached out to him and he said, no, Les, I don't care what they're saying. That's a lie. You have purpose. You're gifted. And we all know what happened. Les Brown, the #1 motivational speaker in the world, is now paid beyond anything he ever thought possible. He goes into a situation, he can speak for 2 hours and he makes $50,000. Why? Because that was his gift. Does he hate going to work? No, he travels all over the world with his family. He gets to enjoy his kids. He gets to enjoy his life. He goes on vacation when he wants to. There was another man in the Bible. I'm showing you purpose. People have purpose. And if you're not pursuing your purpose because you're following the world plan, then you're going to miss out on life. You're going to miss out on your family. You're going to miss out on your kids. Moses, he was given a thing to do. God said, hey, you're going to lead my people. You're going to set them free. And Moses himself, he's like, no, I can't do it. And then God said, yeah, you can. I chose you, basically. And Moses is like, I can't do it. I'm a stutterer. I don't speak right. But God knew he had purpose. God knew Moses more than Moses knew Moses. And right now, there's a lot of you don't think you are. Actually, inside, internally, there's a gift inside of you. You know right now that there's something that you're gifted at, that you can do. But you're too scared to step out, just like Moses. You're too afraid if you step, something bad's going to happen. Or if you step, it's not going to work out for you. Look at and other people. They're going to try to suppress you. They're going to try to keep you down. Just think of David. There was a king supposed to come from a certain family, and that family was David's family. And his father, his own father, brought him up there, and he says, hey, bring all my kids. But he forgot his kid that was in the out in the wilderness. He was out there being a shepherd boy. He was like, man, don't call on David. David's nothing. He's a nobody. He's just a worker. And see, sometimes that's the way they box us in. They think we're just workers. A lot of people could care less if they fire you tomorrow. They could drop you off tomorrow and not even think about your kids, not even think about you paying your bills. But what doesn't drop you off is your gift. So he brought all the kids over there, and they poured the oil on them, and it didn't work out for any of them. And he's like, this isn't the one. But what they didn't know was David was out there. He was in the shepherd field fighting lions. He was out there battling bears. And what did that set him up for? That set him up to have fights that he would have later. That set him up to be a king, because kings have to know how to war. They know how to take ground. But he had already taken ground. But even his own family didn't see it in him. But God saw purpose. And then you look at Joseph. Like, he had a dream. It was given to him by God. And some of you right now, you have a dream given to you by God. But everybody beat you down. They said you're not from the right family, or your dad walked out on you, or your family's drunks, or just all kinds of different stuff that they could say about you or your family, or you come from the wrong side of the tracks. And right now you believe it because you've been told it over and over and over again. But that's a lie. That's not the truth, because internally you know that God's blessed you. Internally you know you're gifted to receive from God. So I'm just asking you guys to dig deeper, to see that there's purpose. Right now, don't wait till you got as old as me. Whenever God told me to start that clothing company, I said, I can't. I don't got no money. I can't do it. But God didn't care about the money. He made the money. He brought it to me when I thought it was impossible. I used to if my car broke down, I wouldn't be able to get $500 to fix it. But then all of a sudden, God brought $10,000, $45,000, $50,000 out of nowhere. But what did it take for God to allow my purpose to shine through? What did it take for that to start to happen? It took the steps. It took the one step in that direction. Peter, if anybody was to ask you, could you go out on a boat and walk on water? They would say no. But God knew that Peter could walk on water. God knew that he could step out and start walking. But as soon as Peter started to believe the lie of the enemy, when he thought that he didn't have purpose, then he started to sink. And some of us will take a step, and if it doesn't happen quick enough, then we'll sink. But God's given you purpose. He gifted every single one of us to do something amazing, to do something great. Like I told everybody else, I used to be the guy that when they'd ask me to pray for Thanksgiving dinner, I would hyperventilate, because I was like, you have to know the scripture. You have to know how to pray just right. And I didn't know. But then when God said, hey, I'm going to make you a little bit uncomfortable, I'm going to make it not feel so good, then that's when I started to grow. That's when I started to see my purpose. Like now, I always try to reach out to y'all. I always try to show people that they're more than anybody could ever imagine. God says he wants to bless you exceedingly, abundantly, above all you can ask, think, or imagine. But we've imagined this plan that they laid out for us. We imagine college. We imagine graduating. We imagine $300,000 checks, $200,000 checks. But we don't imagine big, because we've been programmed to think that this is what the life is about. This is what we're supposed to do. But God says, I've given you big plans for your future, big things to do that are amazing. So if you're an artist right now and you think that you can't do anything with that gift, God gave it to you. He gave it to you so you could use it. The greatest place of the most lost dreams ever on the face of the earth, where the biggest dreams were at, where the biggest successes were at, where the biggest companies were made, where the biggest designs were made. Everything that's amazing that didn't happen is in the graveyard. Because people never thought that they could be what God gifted them to do. And you might not arrive there, but you will arrive there if you set purpose. If you go that direction. If you accept that you're bigger than anything you ever thought possible. I mean, even when I started that company, I never knew that I could get to the places I went. I mean, I'd never been to other states. My family members had only been, probably 2 states in their whole life. And I sat back and I thanked God that I was going to Colorado, to Vegas, New York. And then within 10 months, God asked me, he goes, Chris, where you been? And I was like, man, I've been to Colorado like 3 times. I've been to New York twice. I've been to Vegas 2 times. I've been to South Dakota, Austin, Colorado, and it was amazing what God had did. But it was only amazing because I stepped outside the box. He told me to start a clothing company, and I did it. Now there's going to be times when the enemy's not going to lay out a red carpet. He's not going to say, hey, go ahead and do that thing, because it's not working out, or something will be a block in the road. You know, there'll be something that comes your way that you don't see coming, and that's because the success is coming. That's because you're close to the promised land. That's because God has purpose for your life, and the enemy wants to stop your purpose. We need to get outside the box and see that we have a big God, and he can do big things for our life. But right now, we don't think so, because we've been trained to believe that there's only one way to do it. I know for a fact that there's people that have gifts that they've never used once in their life. There's people that go to college and they don't pursue the direction of their gift. They pursue what they've been told to pursue. Like I know someone specifically that her mom wants her to be a doctor, but she likes being a gamer. It's just good at it. So why should she have to follow what was purpose for her by her family instead of what was purpose for her by God? I mean, if you think of Einstein, like, he didn't even talk until he was 3 years old. But nobody knew the purpose that was in him. Nobody knew the gifts and the talents, because they only saw him one way. So guys, I'm just asking you to step outside the box. I'm asking you to go out there and be a Moses. I'm asking you, let's look at Joseph, for instance. Joseph was told that he was going to be ruler over all these people, that he was going to be over a mass group, and he would be over his brothers and over the country. And they were like, oh my God, you really think you're going to be over us? So they actually were angry with the fact that he even said that. But they didn't know the purpose that God had for him. And they tried to sabotage it. So somewhere, somehow, they believed it, but they didn't want to believe it because it wasn't for them. It wasn't their purpose or their gift. So they put him in a pit, and we all know the story. Went from pit to prison to palace because God had purpose for his life. He didn't have to. He went skyrocketing. He went from the bottom to the top, just like David, from shepherd boy to king. And right now, there's a lot of kings out there. Right now, you can go from where you think is impossible. I mean, where it looks impossible, and you can go to the impossible, because God's a big God. So right now, I know that others out there, you're gifted, but you don't know how to go in that direction. God's just telling you to step in that direction. He's asking you to move. Like even the lady with the issue of blood, she had to step in the direction of Jesus to receive the healing. So you have to step in your purpose. Right now, you feel it tugging in your gut, and you know that your purpose, you've been thinking on it, you've thought about it, but then the devil comes in and he steals, and he says, oh, that ain't for you. You can't be that. Nobody in your family's ever accomplished anything. But that is God. That's him knocking on your door. He said that he would give it to you. He said he would give you the desires of your heart. And most of the desires of your heart are ones that he put in there. And he put them in there so you could receive them. So guys, I'm just asking you to go out and reach for the stars. I'm asking you to know that you have purpose in your life. Know that what seems impossible is. But that's why you don't do it by yourself. You do it with God. You just pursue that thing that's inside of you. And don't be a sheep. Don't fall into the purpose and the plan of the enemy that guides us all down this one path. And that's the only path we choose to go. Because you won't be happy at the end of it. At the end of that, you'll just think like, man, why did I go that route? I missed out on my children. I missed out on my grandkids. I missed out on vacations. I missed out on my dreams. Because when I'm telling you, and don't get me wrong, I'm back in the queue, but I want out. I want to pursue the dream. And some of the dream is dreams that only you and God can do. But you have to grab hold of God. You have to pray. You have to purpose in life to do more. So guys, I just love you. This is a little bit different video than I usually do. You know, usually it's a fire and brimstone and telling that God's got a big plan for your life, and you got to straighten up and be right. But I thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Reach for the stars. Pursue your purpose. And if you don't know what your gift is, ask God to manifest it. Ask him to show it to you so you can see it and then pursue it. All right, guys. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later.